Hi everyone, and welcome to Lesson 1 under the Contaminated Water tab of the Water in the World Teaching and Learning website resource. This lesson we're going to cover the causes of contaminated water and the impacts of contaminated water as well. Your success criteria for this lesson: by the end of this lesson you need to know what contaminated water is, and by the end of this lesson you need to be able to explain the causes and impacts of contaminated water sources on people. So let's have a look at the causes of contaminated water. So the first cause is pollution. So pollution through sewage and industrial waste. Human waste and chemicals are the main sources of contamination, so mainly industrial waste. The next one is runoff from agriculture. Chemicals from farming practices can get into waterways and contaminate them. The third one is dumping and polluting water sources through rubbish. Plastics and other chemicals contaminate water sources. And then lastly, poor sanitation and treatment of animal and human waste contributes to the causes of contaminated water as well. This is a picture of the largest slum in the world. It's called Dhavari. It's in Mumbai, India, and it really struggles with contaminated water. So let's have a look at what countries have access to clean water. So we can see here in Australia, 100% of us have access to clean water. We can see in countries like Russia and America and Brazil, a lot of people have access to clean water. But let's have a look at some countries in Africa. You can see some of these percentages here: 55.5% in Sudan, 50.8% in Chad, 58.2% in Niger. That's nearly half of all people don't have access to clean drinking water. So looking at this map here, you can hover over the countries and see which countries have amounts of high or low access to clean water for their people. Now, why does this matter? Let's have a look at this map here. It's a little darker. So this is the share of deaths from unsafe water sources. So out of all the deaths in these countries, this is how many people die from drinking unsafe drinking water. So we can see in the Central African regions, it's quite high again. So in Niger, 10.73% of all deaths are related to people drinking unsafe drinking water. In Chad, it's a bit higher at 14.45% of all deaths are caused by unsafe drinking water. We can see it's quite high in Madagascar as well, and quite low here in Australia. Let's have a look at the impacts of drinking contaminated water, some statistics. So by 2025, half of the people in the world will be living in water-stressed areas. 29% of all people on Earth use unsafe drinking water because it is their only option. And lastly, 2 billion people drink water contaminated by feces. This is a slum in Bangladesh where an organization called Sustainable Sanitation Alliance has a program called MOSAN, so mobile sanitation, and they're showing people how to be more sanitized and give them facilities and service that make them more sanitized as well, to stop the impact of these sorts of things happening. The next one is diseases people can get from contaminated water. So these are important to learn as well. So this is why contaminated water is so bad. The first disease is cholera, which is a fatal disease spread by contaminated water. The next one is dysentery, which is painful inflammation of the intestines. And the third one is typhoid. Typhoid is potentially fatal, and it's long periods of high fever, headache, and stomach pains that normally can last up to 30 days. Your first task for this lesson, what you need to do is watch this video here and answer these questions here. If you're learning at home, you'll have to watch the video by yourself and answer the questions. But if you're at school, we'll watch the video together and we'll answer these questions together on the board. Task 2 is 2 videos on contaminated water. So the first one's really good because it goes over the causes and effects of water pollution. And then this video is good because it shows you a real-world example from VOA News of contaminated water. So what you have to do while you're watching these videos is just write down 2 facts per video. The third learning task, we're going to get into some PQEs now, collecting some facts from these maps. So your first PQE, you need to collect 2 PQEs from the share of deaths from unsafe drinking water. So you might want to have, there's a high amount of deaths in Chad. 14.45% of all deaths in Chad are caused by unsafe drinking water. Your other PQE might be a really low or mid area. Task 4 is the annual number of cholera cases in endemic countries. So endemic means where the disease happens. So you can see here, and we've got more Central African regions, and also India really struggles with cholera cases. So these are the amount of cholera cases in these countries. So these countries have 50,000 plus cholera cases. So you need to collect 2 PQEs from that map there. And if you need to go over the PQE information, you can access this tab here on how to collect a PQE and what a PQE is. Task 5 is the last task. You need to collect 2 PQE facts on risk areas of where you can get typhoid. So you can see down here we've got moderate incident is the light blue, and then high incidence, where you're more likely to get it, is in the dark blue as well. You need to collect 2 PQEs from that. So an example might be in the Middle East or Central Asia, you have quite a high chance of getting typhoid, or there's more typhoid in these regions. And then you can have your quantify and then your exception. So your exception might be China or Mongolia if you're going to do Asia. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you want to stay updated to any new websites that are made or any existing websites where new lessons are made, go ahead and subscribe to stay updated for those, like this lesson here. Thanks, guys.